Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna, this is Coffee Books and Bullet Journals, and today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the things that I love in books. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that I love in books. This is not an original concept. I've seen a lot of people be doing this lately. But I wanted to talk about not necessarily just tropes, although some of that is, these are, tropey things. But also some things that are just kind of buzzwords for me, if that makes sense. So what I want you to do is if you think of any, I'm going to give you like a few recommendations based on things, like, so that way if you like the same things, maybe you can pick up these books. But if you have read a book that has one of these things in this book, I want you to leave it in the comment below, if you liked it, obviously. And I might end up doing a reading experiment where I read some of your guys' books that you recommend to me based on this. The first one that I want to talk to you about is not surprising at all. And that is characters that are in the foster system or are adopted or, something along those lines, specifically in contemporary books. So a few recommendations that I have are Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is a YA contemporary that I read last year and fell in love with. I love this book so much. It's about 3 teens. 2 of them were adopted and 1 of them is still in the foster system. And they all find out that they're siblings. It was a beautiful, beautiful story. The other one is All the Impossible Things by Lindsay Lackey. I also read this one last year. Both of these books not only made my favorite books video, but also made the top 5 of those books. This is a middle grade contemporary-ish story. There is a little bit of fantastical elements into it, but this is about a girl who's in the foster system, and her new foster home is at this farm with this Galapagos turtle, and it's precious, and I loved it so much. The next, this isn't really a trope. It's just more of like a world building or character type. And that is anything that has to do with a restaurant or a chef or something involving food. My day job is in food, and I like, it's one of those things that, like, you can see yourself, I guess. Although both of my recommendations are YA, so maybe not. But the first one is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, and the second one is Too Eat Cute by Emma Lord. Both of these I gave like 3.5 to 4 stars, but the parts of it that I really did like were the things that were involving food. She wanted to be a chef, got to go to Spain as part of her class. I really enjoyed the fact that, like, they specifically talked about the ServSafe test, which is a test that restaurant managers and things like that have to take. So that was really cool. And this is about these warring restaurants, the burger chain and a little deli. So very fun. It's also why I am drawn to some of these upcoming releases, like A Taste of Sage by Yafa Santos and Love's Recipe by Mila Nix. The next one is definitely a trope, and that's specifically in romance, and that is romances with athletes. I don't know what it is about romances with athletes, specifically like professional athletes, that are just so great. I don't think I've found one yet that was terrible. I think I've mostly been giving them at least 3.5 to 4 stars. So some of my favorites: Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey has a retired professional baseball player. Alexa Martin's series, Intercepted, Fumbled, and the third one is Blitzed. Great series. The Right Swipe by Alicia Rai has a professional football player, I believe. Parental Guidance by Avery Flynn is a hockey romance. That one was a lot of fun. And then most recently I read Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. And he is a professional rugby player, and that may be my favorite romance of all time. So, okay, this one is really oddly specific, but that is weddings or relationships from the perspective of someone else that's like orchestrating it all, if that makes sense. So weddings, I recently read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and one of the perspectives is the wedding coordinator or the wedding planner. I love that. And when I say relationships, think like Matchmakers, like the movie Hitch. The most obvious one that I can think of is Can I See You Again by Alison Morgan. She is the female version of Hitch. It's an adult romance. This is one of the very first contemporaries that I ever read. Planning on doing a reread, seeing how I still like it. I don't have a ton of recommendations for that one, but that's one that's like, I don't know what it is about that, like, trope or character, POV. I love it, so please give me your X down below. The next setting, I guess it's really not a setting, but politics intermixed into the story, whether it be in the real world or in a fantasy world. So real world examples, things like Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. Both have to do with like national and local politics. I'm trying to think of some other ones. The Voting Booth by Brandon Colbert comes out later this year, I believe. It was supposed to be this year anyways. But I'm definitely intrigued to read that one, again, because of its like a local politics shenanigans. I think this is probably why I really enjoy royalty romances as well. And that's just because like you always get those sprinkles of politics. And then as far as like another romance, American Queen and the Camelot trilogy by Sierra Simone is, first off, amazing and so good, but also has a little bit sprinkling of politics in there as well. If you think of politics in a fantastical world, obviously the Folk of the Air trilogy is a big one. The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. Very political. If you think of like Game of Thrones, very political. But also things like Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. Really, the whole series becomes very political. But we're not going to talk about The Toll. You know my opinions on it. That one is very political, but it's more like it's a political commentary. This one sets up a very good, like, politics in its own world, if that makes sense, because there is, like, the election for it's been a little bit since I've read these, but, the High Blade, that's it. There's an election, so that's it. And then Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan has to do a little bit with politics and like the political system, and there's a war and things like that, so it becomes pretty political. Okay, and the last buzzword, I guess, for me, this one probably is the biggest buzzword for me. Someone puts it in a synopsis and I'm automatically going to be intrigued by it, and that is books with a circus in it or some sort of carnival circus type atmosphere. I don't know what it is about that, but it's a go-to for me. Books that I'm really interested in that have this geek love. I can't remember the author, but I'll put the cover up here. I don't have that one yet. The Life She Was Given by Ellen Marie Wiseman. Like, this is a historical fiction. I shouldn't like it, but I'm so intrigued by it because it's completely revolved around a circus. Two very anticipated releases that I am very excited to get my hands on. The Circus Rose. I can't remember the author's name of that one either, but there's the cover. And then Where Dreams Descend. This one I don't think is necessarily a circus, but it has like a very like Moulin Rouge type atmosphere, and it says it's for fans of the Night Circus, which is that in and of itself is a buzzword. Obviously I'm gonna put the Night Circus on this list because the Night Circus is a book that, like, if someone says it's compared to the Night Circus or for fans of the Night Circus, I automatically want to read it. It's high expectations, but I don't know if that's a good suggestion to have or a good mentality to be in, because I'm probably going to be disappointed. But Night Circus is absolutely one of my favorite books of all time. As you can see, it's very annotated and tabbed up, and it's about time for a reread because it's been about a year, so might do that soon. The other one that I can recommend is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I have read this entire trilogy and very much enjoyed it. I think it just kind of gets better as the series goes along. I think this was a 4-star read. Legendary was a 4.5, maybe, and Finale was a 5-star read. So, yeah, it just gets better. So, but very atmospheric in the world of like this being this like carnival type setting, I guess. So anyways, that's all I've got for you. Like I said, if you have any recommendations that hit any of these buzzwords, let me know down in the comments below. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there is a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the other links to my social media will be in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye! What makes this heart beat faster?